Welcome back to Access. I'm Ken.
And I'm Nicole.
You know how you can tell she's Nicole? She doesn't have leopard print shoes. But she's still got style. Animal style. Alright. This is not actually Nicole, but we lost the introduction to 2 Peter, which is what we will be introducing today. And Nicole's in Boston, so I have a stand-in with me. And I'm excited to be back with her.
I am too, Ken. You're so smart.
Oh, gosh, Nicole. You don't have to say that. Oh, it's so good to be back. So 2 Peter. 2 Peter, we believe, scholars believe, is not written again by Peter. And nor is the author of 2 Peter even the author of 1 Peter. But it's someone entirely different. And we believe that it's one of the last books of the New Testament. It's probably in the middle of the 2nd century, so the 140s to the 150s. What was happening at that time was it was hard to be part of the church. To be part of the church meant you could not be part of the guild systems or to even take part in large family gatherings where there would be food sacrificed to idols. And so it was a great sacrifice to be part of the church. And that's hard. What made it really hard is the concern over what's called the parousia, meaning the return of Christ. Christ was supposed to have come back at that point, and he hadn't. And so it's one thing to sacrifice your business connections, your family gatherings, for a religion that makes sense and seems true. It's entirely different to sacrifice it for a religion that you're questioning. And so what's happening is teachers are cropping up who are telling communities, like the one of 2 Peter, that we can reinterpret things, that it doesn't have to be so hard to be Christians and to be the church, that we can make things easier. And part of what a book like 2 Peter is trying to say is that faith is supposed to be hard. And it is true that Christ hasn't come back yet, but maybe it's because we haven't understood what the return will be like. And maybe it isn't all about God coming down upon high and fixing everything, but maybe we need to be participating and part of that. So we're going to start with a text, a lovely text that Nicole likes about a dog returning to its own vomit, made famous by American theologian Jonathan Edwards. And then we will turn to a humorous vignette about 2 Peter, kind of digging on Paul and the difficulty of Paul's writings. So it's good to be back with Nicole again. Nicole, did you want to say anything before we move on?
Shoot me in the face.
Shoot me in the face. That's our Nicole. Anyway, back to Jonathan Edwards.
Dog vomit.
He was an unusual child. He created a little prayer booth for himself.
As a kid?
As a kid, out in the woods, behind his house.
Who is he, Samson?
Can you just imagine, like, hey, let's go over to little Johnny's house. No, he's going to make us go and pray again. Let him come to my place. We've got the Wii, yay!
What would be the 17th or 18th century version of the Wii?
We've got a hoop and stick.
Instead of digitally playing baseball, we'll just play baseball.
So Edwards is this extremely intellectual and inwardly drawn young man.
Yeah.
But he's also, he's passionate like everybody is. And in his own diaries, he talks about, his waywardness, which I'm not sure what waywardness looked like for him, like maybe having a bad thought or something. But he would talk about his frustration with himself, that he would try to do better and then he'd fall back. And he would use this text and say he would be like a dog going back to his own vomit. But then you will be happy to know about Jonathan Edwards. I know this will make you feel better. That after he had this amazing moment, he was walking in the woods and had this amazing revelation. He never went back to his dog vomit again. So good for you, Jonathan Edwards.
Well done.
But that's one of the great texts in 2 Peter. What you've got God and time.
Yep. Okay, so in in 2 Peter, the author says that one day to God is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like one day, which is nice.
It is nice.
I believe that's in Amazing Grace a bit. Yeah, on one of the last verse.
10,000. Oh, when we've
Yeah,
been there, 10,000
10,000
years.
just
Bright
like-
shining as the sun.
It'll be just as the day
Yeah.
when we first
Yeah.
begun. Yeah.
That's kind of out of time.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you
and
make of that? I don't know.
I think it's nice. I think it's a nice perspective on God is timeless. I don't do a whole lot with this text, but other people do.
Yes. Tell us about that.
So as many people are aware, there's a belief in intelligent design, creationists, and they're not a monolithic group.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a diverse bunch.
That's a very diverse bunch. And you have you have wings of it, like everything else, where some people really say, yes, it's 6 days, 6 24-hour periods.
Being a wing.
Mm-hmm. Keep clapping. And it's like 6 24-hour periods. Okay. And that's how creation happened.
A day is a day.
A
dang it.
day's a day, people. Which I don't really understand, because on the first day there wasn't a sun or a moon yet. How do you know? Just water.
Send all letters to Nicole in Boston.
You don't have my address.
Aw. Well, send to me and I'll give you her address.
Okay. So
The other wing now.
The other wing,
Wait, this one now.
yes, they say that
Where's
a day to God is like 1,000,000 years.
Right.
So 6 days can be 6 million years, 60 million years. That a day is a non-specific time unit for God, and I think that reveals some really interesting things about the struggle to be faithful to a text.
Yeah.
And like it's this kind of an ongoing discussion we've had over the videos, but the ways in which we try to wrestle with the text
Yeah.
and engage in the
Yeah.
text. And I think they're both really interesting takes on it, and I'm kind of okay with the 6 days, maybe 60 million years thing. Yeah, like
Yeah. And the kind of the mainline version of our side would be to say, actually, we side with all the science and we believe in evolution and we just think God can work, through that.
That God started it.
But that's a lot closer to what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
well, creation worked kind of like that. None of us really know, and
Right.
God could work through eons and just call them days. And I mean,
Right.
that seems kind of harmless.
Yeah, and so like to me that is a way to kind of, I don't know, a way to bridge that creationist versus evolution
Like
gap.
maybe we can figure out ways to talk to each other. Nice.
Right, and like I've heard a lot of Christians who are scientists, not
Mhm.
Christian
Right.
scientists, propose that.
What if you were a Christian scientist who was a scientist? That would just be confusing.
I think so.
But yeah, so
Okay. I think it would be. And so I think, like, for me, that has a nice poetic truth to it.
Well, it feels to me helpful in terms of perspective.
Yes.
Like, our problems feel like they're so important to us right now, and why isn't God changing and intervening? And this is kind of a nice text to sort of say, well, there's another perspective. There's a bigger, and it's true that at least with my life, and maybe yours, I mean, it's almost always a little bit of time does seem to help. Now, don't hear me as saying that there are not horrific, tragic moments that are mysteries. This doesn't solve that, but it does give us perspective on like the little things that we're just mad about for a time.
Yeah.
And it sort of let us cool off a little
I
bit.
think it's also really helpful for ministry.
Yes.
And that a lot of times we work really hard on projects and we never see
The fruit.
The fruit.
Absolutely.
I think like youth group is a prime example of this, where most adults aren't in the same church that they were when they were 14,
Right.
and so their youth pastors never see what becomes of those people as adults.